Good afternoon. We're at a long day here at the TOS conference, and I have the privilege to have Srivathsan with me, and he's product manager AI at Amazon. And thank you so very much for making some time for us at the end of a very long day. We're a bit tired, so I appreciate it even more. Watson, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit better and tell us what you do at Amazon exactly?
Yeah, I'm a product manager trying to build products that enable customers realize their objectives, and I infuse AI into products to ensure that the customers can get their job done. At Amazon, I started as a product manager for Amazon Translate. Then we got on to developing newer Amazon products around Amazon Comprehend, then Amazon Q for Business, which is our product that is your agent, and then launched Amazon Q for Transformation, or Amazon AWS Transformation, which enables you to code transform from one language to another software code. And now I'm working on how to use AI to enable communication, and communication not just pertaining to English, but also multilingual communication.
You have an illustrious background. You've been involved in mechanical engineering and product management, and then now you're in machine translation at Amazon. Could you share briefly how your background has shaped your approach to multilingual AI?
Wow. Growing up in India, I have the luxury or of being exposed to a multilingual society.
Yeah.
I grew up in Chennai, Madras, in a state called Tamil Nadu that spoke predominantly Tamil. But I also, belonging to India, I've had exposure to Hindi and English, and many of the Hindi programs that were created always got dubbed into my language. And I had the luxury of even seeing a lot of English movies dubbed to my language. Yeah. So from the movie scenes, I had a group of friends who were into the translation dubbing industry, and they talk about how they would change a particular scene to be relevant to the particular culture, and how they would say, for example, how you would say something in your own term, but you don't really exactly translate what is done in English, but you say it in your own style so that it hits you. And my group of friends that I grew up with got into the localization and dubbing industry, pretty much shared stories that I had at the back of my mind as I pursued my engineering career. Engineering, I dove deep into mechanical engineering. I have a PhD from mechanical engineering, and my work was on nanoparticles, high temperature plasmas, and water desalination.
Yeah.
Then
just your average stuff.
Just your average stuff. And then I had the luxury of moving to tech, and when I moved to tech, worked at Microsoft, and I got the luxury, again, a privilege of joining AWS at the time where AWS was using transformer technology to revolutionize translation. And that's when all my network of friends and folks who helped me talk about the localization industry gave me a better understanding of the customer segment. Because in translation, what you're trying to do is make another person feel at home. And for example, you build a movie. When you build a movie, the movie is built for the people who are in the community. You don't build a movie for the whole world. But the story, the feeling, the emotion, the input is translatable. And so when I joined, my friends have talked about, or I had the luxury of listening in on their conversation on how they do the translation, and I got the luxury of being the product manager of Amazon Translate. It helped me determine the two worlds, the tech side of the world where the scientists are trying to break the language barrier using the transformer technology, and the customer side of the world where they don't care what the technology is, they just want a seamless integration into having content be accessible to them. So and then I also had a whole lot of enterprise customers, both internal to Amazon. You think of e-commerce, think of AWS.com, think of Alexa. They are also having their product most probably written in English, taken into other languages. They help me understand how to what the biggest problems of the customers are. All these helped me, provided me with the necessary background to dive deeper into the AI world and into multilingual.
You sound like you're the perfect guy to ask a really technical question. So this is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. There's this connection that we feel in the localization industry with the development of AI in particular, because we had neural machine translation before the development of AI. And so can you explain maybe how neural machine translation paved the way for what we now are calling generative AI in a multilingual context?
Yeah, happy to. So neural machine translation, where the transformers, attention all you need, transformer technology, the first thing that came out was machine translation.
Yeah.
You heard it from the folks in the conference today. So if you think about it, translation is generative. All that you're giving in is a prompt in the original language, and the bot generates a language in the output. When we call it GenAI, it's a cool term now, but machine translation is generative by nature. When we were building models, we are familiar with transformers, we are familiar with how to train it, but we always looked at when the model started saying things or making stuff up, we always thought that, oh, that is a no-go for machine translation. Because the whole idea of translation is that you faithfully communicate the source content to translated content. But if we let it deviate, that is where it becomes creative. We religiously reduced the model size or added more data to keep the output well defined. That if you didn't do it or let it ruminate, the word we used was ruminate, but if you let it do reinforcement learning, you end up coming up with reasoning, coming up with what we see today. So I had the luxury of working with that technology, just didn't end up taking the technology beyond translation to what we now call as LLM and GenAI.
That's really fascinating. Given the conference's theme, what role do you believe localization and language service providers are going to play in the generative AI era?
Localization. If you think about localization, we use the word localization and not translation for a reason. That is, you want to go down hyper-local to a person not only speaking the language but also belong to a particular region, culture, background. So if you dive deeper into localization, that is personalization. So this group of people who are in the localization industry are very familiar with how an idea that is created by the source, by the author, is always written through his or her point of view. And the author actually spends extra effort to make that idea be accepted by the audience. If you think about good authors, they are people who know their audience well and then end up writing content that is easily accepted by the audience. And this is just one language. It's the knowing your audience that differentiates one good author from another. Now you take that across languages. The author doesn't even know what the audience is in another language. It's the translator's responsibility to not only understand the author's frame of mind and the audience frame of mind and recreate the content from one language to another. You're familiar with what GenAI does, right? And the first thing that GenAI does is it makes you a better writer. Like if you have certain ideas, you can get those ideas down, and it can get you a first draft. You can run those first draft by various readers, get their feel, and then even without having that innate author sense, GenAI provides you the ability to write better prose just in one language. Now you're bringing in the people who are familiar with two cultures, familiar with two worlds. These people are going to provide the right data for GenAI to bridge that gap from an author who is writing their content in their language and make it available to every locale. If you break down the locale, it can be personalized to every reader or to every locale to ensure that the idea is taken faithfully and seamlessly from the creator to the consumer. So we are looking at a communication revolution. If you think about a long time ago, it was the access to data that mattered.
Yeah.
Then access to clean. Think of what the printing press did. It made sure that whatever I thought of, I wrote it. I can make multiple copies, and I can spread that information around. But again, what I write, I need to be a really good writer. Otherwise, nobody's going to read it.
Yeah.
Internet made the distribution faster. Now, with LLM, my ability to reduce my thought into an impactful word is made easier. My ability to create content has become easier. Now I don't need to have to create content for my own locale, but I can make that content available to every locale in a way that is easily consumable by them and actionable by them. This is the revolution that we are in, and I'm one of the many folks who are helping further that revolution.
Yeah. It's awesome. When building your multilingual systems, what are the metrics or success signals that you prioritize? Is it fluency? Is it adequacy? Is it latency? User satisfaction? What particular signs are you looking for?
I usually look for listener and user satisfaction. When I say listener, the consumer of the content. If we build a localization product, the success is determined by the consumer of the localized content. It doesn't matter whether I feel good about translating my content to Japanese, but if I am taking my content to a Japanese speaker, if he or she is contented, then even though I'm not happy with it, I think that is a success. And today in localization, the localization teams are more concerned about their own LSP teams determining whether it is good or bad. For example, I at AWS write a content. I have an AWS localization team that has an LQM that says yes or no to the content. But I want to move that to the reader. If the reader says yes or no, then that content is successful. And that's where in the new world we have the ability to collect customer data and also use the customer data to shape the communication in such a way that it is actionable and useful to the customer or to the listener. I shouldn't use the word customer. I have the ability to get listener data and shape the content in such a way that the listener finds it impactful, that whatever I'm saying.
So many of us are working with new products in the localization space and that are generative AI products. I wanted to ask you, when you think about going from a prototype to a production model of a generative AI product, what are the top 3 hurdles you encounter technically and operationally and business-wise?
So I am in a place where there is a whole lot of push. Whether I want it or not, everyone wants to do GenAI.
I think we're all in that space right now, to be honest with you.
And many times I say that GenAI is more useful when it comes from a need, when it satisfies a need. So the biggest hurdle is too much push to do something AI rather than use AI to do something useful.
Maybe find the problem that needs to be solved
there
first.
Are many
before,
problems. There are many problems, and yes, find the problem. So, instead of doing AI, we need to do something useful and find the problem is the right way, as you say. So, managing the expectation both from the sponsors and from the customer is the first thing, because when you say AI, when you say too many times, it loses its value.
Yeah.
And finding that place where AI truly revolutionizes is a key thing, and doing experiments and failing while you find is a natural process of experimenting. So I want to. The key part is you in the past, when nobody's looking at what LLMs or AI is, where we were able to do a whole lot of tests and experiments and fail and learn quickly. Whereas here, because people expect everything to succeed, even the failures are sometimes managed as success. And this is one of the places where has been a second bigger problem is the ability to experiment with the customer, with the ability, with the luxury of, hey, this can fail, but get along with this. And then the last part that is difficult is the time is the building micro prototypes, right? In this LLM world, everyone wants us to launch something big and take the airways. There's a lot more hype. If I'm not doing anything hype worthy, maybe it's not worth it. That's a big problem that I feel, that I face. So if I'm trying to do something that is important, but if it doesn't generate the hype, the odds are it doesn't get the funding that is needed. Although it might be more profitable, it might be more useful, but still, if it doesn't generate the hype, it's not worth moving. So those are the three problems that I face.
Watson, you've been very, very gracious with your time at the end of this very busy day at TOS already. I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I promise I will let you go. For localization and language services industries, what new business models or services do you anticipate emerging in the GenAI era?
So, there are a lot of business models one can think of, but the key thing is what is the benefit to the customer? It's like, for example, when we started with internet, there were search, there were social media, there were e-commerce. Those are the key things. The three big companies that you can look for. It's how you monetize or how you create value proposition to the customer. If I were to create a business model where I say every search is X dollars, every social media account is X dollars per month, then the adoption would have had, it would be hard to adopt. Whereas making them free actually made a whole lot of privacy and data ownership concerns. So in this new world, knowing all the mistakes that we have done in the past with the internet revolution, I think the business model for GenAI would be all about how am I minimizing the amount of undifferentiated heavy lifting work. So if I'm wanting to do a research and want to do a PhD thesis, I want to use GenAI to look up old research work and create my first literature survey. That doesn't need my intelligence, but I can, by doing it, I'm setting up the. If you think about a thesis, the first 1/3 is about prior work, and then second 1/3 is what problems you chose, and then third 1/3 is what you found. It reduces the amount of effort to do the first 1/3 of the work. Same way, any problem that we try to solve, the first problem is finding out what other people have done. And then second problem is what is something that I should focus on to solve, and then finally solving the problem. The GenAI is going to take care of the very first problem for you to solve, and putting a system where you can monetize on that solution. That hey, I have a tool, and this helps you look at all the prior work, and it's going to solve things for you. Is going to be game changing, and it's not the tokens, it's not the seats. The way you that's going to be the new way in which we pay for GenAI. It'll be jobs done, and how I'm benefiting from each job done is how the new business model.
Watson, thank you so very much for sharing your brilliance with us here in Salt Lake City. We're going to keep an eye on you and your career, and we wish you the best. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stefan.